We all know what catfishing is. You see someone online, they look amazing, you're excited to meet them, you come to that big day and yeah, they just don't live up to their online expectations. But there's catfishing, and then there's whatever this is in today's first story. This is sensational. Today I effed up by going on a date with a crazy catfish and not bailing. This girl and I met on Instagram. In the pictures she had sent, she looked very much my kind, and I enjoyed the conversations with her, so I thought to ask her out. We decided to go to the movies. Now, this is where all my problems began. I'm on the phone with her, trying to figure out where she is, when she says, "Oh, look behind you, I can see you." I turn around and God behold, I see someone completely different from the pictures she had sent. In the photos, she looked about 5'6", very pretty face and a nice body. What I saw was a 4'4", extremely overweight girl that looked completely different from what I'd seen. Now at first, I was a bit weirded out, but I thought, oh well, it's not all about looks, and continued the date without calling it out, as I'd enjoyed our conversations prior. A huge mistake in hindsight. We go off to book our tickets, find our seats and settle. So now the movie is about to start, and she hasn't said a word. So I want to start some sort of conversation with her. But every time I try to say anything, I instantly get shot down because she's busy chatting with my friends. Fine, I thought, let's wait until the movie starts. The movie begins, and I try to move a little bit closer to her, but she keeps moving away, so I just let it go. She then turns around and says something about the movie, which I can't remember, but a remark has to be made. This girl has never brushed her teeth, and I mean never. Her breath absolutely stank. I couldn't even look in her general direction while she was speaking, but this wasn't even the problem. A bit into the movie, this girl tells me she wants to say something. Now, what she told me next absolutely shocked me. She says that she's been doing something called shifting, where she transfers her consciousness into another reality and lives her life with other people. Currently, in that other reality, she's dating a Marvel character that she's deeply in love with and has been since she was 10. Now at this point, the blood is rushing to my head. I have so many questions. Why does she agree to go on a date if she's already dating someone in her different reality? Why does she never bring this up? And the biggest thought of all, is this girl insane? I'm very off-put now, and just lean the other direction and try to watch the movie while not seeming very upset. Keep in mind, I just got rejected by this catfish because she's dating a Marvel character in a different reality. I just want to finish this stupid date and leave. When the movie is finally over, I try to explain that I'm going to leave, but she says she's really hungry and wants to go for a bite. We go to a wings place, and she orders about 5 portions of wings. I just want to leave at this point, so I don't even order anything. While we're waiting for her food, I ask her about the whole shifting thing. What she said next made me even more furious. She says that she's been into shifting for 2 years, and that she's deeply in love with this Marvel character. So I think that maybe she's actually able to somehow do this, and if so, I ask her how often she does it. This girl tells me that in the last 2 years, she's only managed to do it once. Yes, once. She had a 1-hour dream about a Marvel character, and now she apparently is dating him and loves him, and that's why she doesn't want me to get near her. This girl must be absolutely insane. But what happened next was the final straw. I didn't mention it yet, but throughout the entire date, she's had a very bad cough. And I kept thinking maybe she's just asthmatic or something, so I ask her. She replies, "Oh, no, I just have COVID." What? You're just telling me this now? Unfortunately, it was too late for me to leave. I tried to lean back and stay away from her to not catch her COVID, and the moment she is done eating, I thank her for the date, pay for the food, and jolt out of there. Oh, dude, honestly, you had to run there. You had your chance, and you stayed. Maybe you're too polite. I feel like I would do the same in that situation, but at that moment, when she's talking about other dimensions that obviously don't exist, what? You gotta go. She's insane. I don't even know why you're questioning if she's insane. She's clearly insane. Get out of there. Today I effed up by accidentally stealing a neighbor's mangoes, and they've been trying to catch me for a month. I've been in lockdown in Shanghai, China for 2 months. During the first month, residents were basically under house arrest, unable to leave the house to buy groceries. So my neighbors organized a group buy where the entire building ordered food together. One day I, as usual, sneaked out of the building to hang out with friends in a different district. I came back at around 11:30 p.m. and saw a basket on the front desk with a couple of mangoes in there. I thought those are up for grabs because they were in an open styrofoam fruit box, looking half empty. So I took some and went back to my room. The third day, a friend living in my building came to visit and said the group buy chat group was trying to catch a mango thief. I freaked out and went back to check the group chat. Someone said she'd bought a box of mangoes, couldn't find them, asked if someone mistakenly took them, and 5 minutes later, another guy, let's call him Detective, said, "Let me go and check the security camera." And the guy went to check hours of footage from 2 security cameras in the lobby, then uploaded screenshots and videos of me taking those mangoes into the group chats. Jesus. The good thing was, because I was sneaking out of the building, I tried to stay low by wearing a beanie, a gigantic mask, and an oversized jacket. The hallway was very dark anyways, and even my mum wouldn't be able to tell that that was me. The bad thing was, that made me look just like a thief. Also, that was already day 3, and I kinda ate all the mangoes already. So, the detective guy went back to check 5 hours of footage of the camera at the main entrance from 6:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Again, because I sneaked in, I was not shown on that footage. Then the detective guy and his neighbors, who were obviously bored to death, started speculating. They first thought the mysterious robber was male because of the jacket and the beanie. Then female, based on the shoulder-head ratio and cut of my pants, apparently. That I live in floor 1 to 3 on the west side. I don't. That I must have went back to the garage to grab something from my car before coming back to the building, since I was carrying a bag. I don't own a car, and I needed a bag to carry my PS4 controller and some games to my friend's house. That I must be an experienced thief because I went straight to the pile of mangoes and started putting them in my bag. For God's sake, I didn't know those were private property. Anyways, in the past month, I tried to buy some mangoes to give back to the neighbor, but my order kept getting cancelled, so I haven't succeeded. I went back to check the price of the entire box, and it was around $10. Last night, it's been a month since the mango stuff, I got invited to one of my neighbor's houses for dinner. We drank and talked about random things until the detective guy showed up. He quickly started reviewing the mango case all over again, including the fact that he recently went back to the crime scene to reproduce the roots. So there I was, the mango thief, sitting next to the enthusiastic amateur mango detective, his next door neighbor, who just didn't want to hear one more word about mangoes, my next door neighbor, who was a policewoman and an expert in theft cases, and the host, who had no idea what was going on. The thing that springs to my mind after reading this story is, why does somebody care so much about mangoes worth $10? I know we've been in lockdown and there's not much going on, but surely there's something a bit more important to think about and try and work out than a $10 selection of mangoes going missing. Really? I love that, by the way, that reasoning. Only an experienced thief would go straight for the mangoes. Like, what are you talking about? I get it. It's lockdown. We're trying to do things that are interesting when nothing else is going on, but this is another level. Wow. Today I effed up buying a 23andMe kit, assuming my history is boring. My story actually started 3 days ago, but some background first. My dad was 56 and my mum was 46 when me and my twin sister were born. My dad died in 2007 when my twin sister and I were 12. He'd been a heavy drinker and smoker since he was 10, passing at 69 following decades of very poor health. So it was actually mostly a relief when he passed. My mum and dad were married since 1973 and tried for many years to have children until they had my sister and I in 1994. My mum only has us, but my dad had a son from a prior marriage who's about 30 years older than us, who I've met several times, but we aren't close due to the age gap. He also had 2 daughters from another prior marriage that I'd never met. I only know they live in California and their first names. They also didn't speak to my dad and didn't attend his funeral. As I've gotten older and had kids of my own, I became more curious about my dad's family. I asked my mum to no avail. She said she had no idea about why the girls didn't speak to my dad. She said she also didn't know how to contact them. So I ordered a 23andMe kit to hopefully find my half-sisters and get some answers. Also, the idea of being possibly 1% black or Asian would have been cool. I'm white as can be. So I ordered the kit and 3 weeks later I get my results. Unfortunately, I'm not any shocking ethnicity. 61.2% British actually, along with 20.7% French-German and other European makeup. What is surprising though, is that I found I had 4 half-sisters, 2 more than I thought. My dad was not a picture of moralism, so it doesn't surprise me he had some unclaimed kids running around. So, excitedly, I clicked to see the names. Oddly, none of the names match my half-sisters I'm looking for. This means I have 6 half-sisters. Wow, my dad kinda messed around, but this is still exciting. My twin and I immediately messaged them on the sites. The first to reply we'll call Mary. She says she was born via IVF in 1992 in North Carolina. Mary also said the donor was a med student. Well, my mum is adamant my dad didn't donate to sperm banks and that he didn't live in the state she's from. So I'm thinking that poor Mary doesn't know her mum is lying to her about an affair that she had with my dad. I felt terrible for my mum as well, as this would definitely mean that he cheated on her. Like I said, my dad was scummy. I just tell Mary that our father was actually in construction his whole life, so he or the agency was lying about med school. He dropped out in 7th grade. I sent her some pictures of my dad and my twin and I from childhood. We laugh about how much we look alike and say we could even be triplets. Later that evening, I get another message from another half-sister we'll call Tiffany. Tiffany says she was also conceived via IVF in 1993 in Pennsylvania. All she knows is her dad has blonde hair and green eyes and was a med student. I'm honestly so happy to see another IVF because this confirms my dad did use sperm banks and just didn't tell my mum, which was trashy but better than an affair. I send Tiffany pictures of my dad and tell her about him, and that's it. Then comes last night. I'm shopping at IKEA with my friends, relaying this soap opera story to them. I'm telling them my theory about these sperm banks lying to their customers to get better prices, telling people they're getting a blonde hair, green-eyed med student, when in reality they're getting a brown hair, brown-eyed sheetrock worker. It's at this moment that my friend Miranda said, "You and your twin have blonde hair and green eyes. What if your dad isn't your dad and your mum also used IVF?" At first, I laughingly entertained the idea that it would make sense for my mum to need IVF, because that makes way more sense than suddenly becoming pregnant at 46 and 56. I quickly realized though, holy heck, that actually does make sense. Then came the obvious thought to probably everyone but me. How could a 55-year-old alcoholic chain smoker pass for a med student? It would have been 25 years since he could believably look under 35. Unless they somehow had his sperm in storage for 30 years before using it, and the sperm banks in different states used the same lie about med school, it didn't seem likely. I also have type 1 diabetes and have no family history at all. Every doctor I've had tells me how unlucky I am because it's usually in the family tree, and my chance of getting it were very low. I'm currently looking at my half-brother's pictures, and he looks just like my dad, but nothing like my sister and I. Not even close. My mum has had a migraine throwing up the past 2 days since discussing this, but I assumed it was a coincidence. Now I'm thinking it could be nerves. I'm going to talk to my mum today, and if I get the answer I think I will, I'm going to message my new half-sisters, apologizing for showing them their dad, because he's actually none of our dads. It's pretty sweet that my dad might be a doctor and not a raging alcoholic though, so that's cool. I mean, an unbelievably crazy story here, but don't you lot worry, we have a concluding update. That first post I read was actually from 3 years ago. The second, the update, is just from a few days ago. This is mental. Here we go. So, it's been 2.5 years since this shocking, although very much makes sense, discovery. We've now found a total of 4 half-sisters and 2 half-brothers, all on our dad's side. We've still got no progress on finding out who it is, as the closest relative, other than the IVF siblings, is a 3rd or 4th cousin. It's fine. I mean, who really cares about knowing things like your medical history and your literal parents? Anywho, we had even less of a connection with our biological mum, who was also an egg donor. I mean, zero, zilch, nada. We were admittedly expectant every time a new relative would pop up, but the vast majority were from dad. As time passed, we pretty much gave up looking. However, after watching Our Father on Netflix last night, and no, that's not our dad, I decided to once again check good old 23andMe. And voila, first cousin, mum's side. I attempted to send a message on the app, but ain't nobody got time for that. I decided to utilize my investigative skills, aka social media, to see what clues I could uncover. Thankfully, said first cousin put his mum's maiden name. One Facebook search and I found his mum, which led me to her sister's profiles. The second I saw the picture of all of them, I internally, and externally, said, bingo, no way we aren't related. And if they tried to tell me otherwise, I was going to offer to personally send a DNA test to prove it. No DNA test needed though, as I received a response in less than 24 hours that confirmed my suspicions and filled my heart with joy. She wants to find us too. Not only that, we also have 6 more half-siblings and a sports team's worth of nieces and nephews. We all live close to each other and we're planning a get-together. I know not all of these stories have a happy ending, so it's fun to share when they do. Wow, this is like family drama to another level. I don't even know if this has been fully concluded, to be fair. I know I said it had been, but there seems like there are multiple storylines that are still yet to play out. Your mum being so nervous and having migraines because of what she thought you might know. I don't know if we heard more about that. Oh, it's just unbelievable. The fact that your own parents aren't who you thought they are for your entire life is it's just a crazy concept that I can't really get my head around. Put yourself in that situation. That would screw with you. Unbelievable. What I would say is it's pretty cool that you found out you have a massively extended family that you didn't know about. That's very cool. And it's cool that you're on the same boat as well, you know? You weren't really sure what had gone on in your family history, and now you're all coming together, meeting up and trying to work it out backwards, I guess. It is just very strange though how 2 people, I guess, or maybe multiple people, they're a little bit secretive and messing about a bit, can cause so much confusion in a family tree. Incredible how biology and genetics work, but hey, that is the beauty of science. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want more content from me straight away, check out this playlist of all my videos on screen. If you're a loyal subscriber, a loyal viewer, and you've missed one recently, it's in there. If you're not, and this is your first time ever watching me, then watch every single video in this playlist now, back to back. Over 1,000. Get going.